Hi.
Well, as we kind of filter getting more people in, I don't think there's anybody on here except I think we might be recording, which is lovely. I want to start by learning a little bit about you guys. So I'm Mandy. I have had a team for almost, well, when did we start? Almost a decade now, which is hysterical. And I'm here to talk a little bit about teams, about if you want to start one, about if you want to join one, just how they work, how they operate. Because I think there's a lot of misconceptions in this marketplace and across the nation about what teams look like. And what's great about it is in the same way with real estate is there's so many ways you can run your real estate business and so many ways real estate can benefit your life, but also there's so many ways teams can and the way you can build your team. So I want to learn a little bit about you guys. Not every single person has to raise their hand, but can someone kind of share who they are and what they hope to get out of today and why they're here? Who will start?
Okay, I will.
Go ahead. Thank you.
I'm Lisa Carroll. I'm at the Gateway office. I'm a teacher in Canada, so we have a little connection there. And
I know you.
I started in January. You inspired me because I was following you on social media. So
it's a lot more glamorous on social. Yeah, it's a lot more glamorous on social media, but carry on.
What else?
So what do you hope to get out of today?
I'm just trying to learn everything I can.
Awesome.
So off for the summer, whenever I see something that fits into my schedule, I come and listen.
Awesome. Happy you're here. Anybody else want to share what brought them here? Or?
I will.
Okay, go ahead.
Amy Fonda from the Gateway office, also from Canada.
Yes.
My big thing is I've been in real estate for about a year now, and I thought about joining a team, and then I didn't, and then I want to learn more about how teams work and how it can benefit me if that's the route I decide to go.
Love that. Good.
I'm Kathleen Burbank. I live in Canada.
I got a lot in Canada.
and I use that office, but I joined this one in a pinch, leaving. I've been an agent for 11 years.
Okay.
And I've always been part of the team, but before there were teams. But it was usually just me and my broker.
Yeah.
We were the team.
Yes.
And back then you had to call yourself a virtual assistant. And we had to hide when we used the internet. We used the MLS.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff. And I just swapped, and it's a later time in my life, and I love this, but I'm just wondering if it might be beneficial for me to be able to join a team and just work a little bit more of a normal job than sporadic hours. And yes, I mean, I love them both. But people are encouraging me to look into it.
Love that.
Hi, Jonathan Pecora. I wanted to take this name because it's Mandy. So
Only getting it.
but it's
He's a plant.
and that's it. No, I have a team currently, and I need to learn the ins and outs. I don't know if this will be it, but it'll talk about joining a team. My assumption of what you're going to talk about is joining a team, what to expect to be a buyer's agent or an X, Y, and Z fit with it.
Yes. Okay.
So
yes.
I'll be able to learn that aspect and apply it to my current buyer's agent and figure things out.
Love that. Yes.
So it's
And
different.
I have 30 years, and my mother's 98 on her own, so don't think that I'm totally stuck in
Oh
my
yeah.
job at any level.
Totally. I love that. Thank you. Anybody else?
Sure, I'm Brandon Fox. I'm fairly new, only a few months with my license, and just haven't really got anything going. So I wanted to see if maybe joining a team or just learning about a team might give me a better idea or jump off some point.
Yes. Love that.
See how it goes from there.
Thank you.
I'm Kim Russell. I'm also from the Gateway office, so I felt like I had to
You have to.
right? I've been doing this since 2019, and I've recently started thinking perhaps about maybe starting a team. So this kind of timing came in great for me. So it's kind of where I am.
Yes.
Somebody else?
I can share. So my name's Jackie. I'm actually on Mandy's team. I just joined. So I'm here to support, but also one of the reasons is one of my goals that Mandy and I sat down together with, like that's one of the issues that really team is impressive. Sit down and go, okay, see what one of my goals is to attend this training.
Hi, I'm Nicole. I'm with the Gateway office. Good. My story is similar to Amy's, but I just think joining a team is something I've been wanting to do, but not sure if it's right for me. So I'm hoping this kind of gives me some more insight into it and just learning more about what it'd be like. I used to work on like a pretty small team, and I always liked the collaboration of that. So always nice to have someone to kind of collaborate with.
Because I just feel like real estate's so lonely.
Yeah.
Like I first got into the business and I was like, I had a great win and I was like, yay. And then I had like this terrible, just like this deal fell apart and this client's talking to me like super rude and I'd be like, and you're just like by yourself a lot and you don't think that because you think there's this community, but you really are a small business owner, but your competition is like who you would talk to and then you don't know. And I wasn't at Keller Williams at first, so I didn't have this kind of camaraderie that came from just existing in an office. And so I can completely relate to that. When I was an athlete, so I was used to being on a team and I was used to always having people around me, and then all of a sudden I was like super on my own. And I was like, I'm fine, and then I wasn't.
Okay, awesome. Well, as we go, if anyone else that hasn't introduced themselves wants to, I want this to be as interactive as possible. And if you do ask a question, I'm going to touch on it later. I'm not afraid to say we'll hit on that. So don't be afraid to ask any questions. Okay, so what to expect today? A lot of what we chatted about. I'm going to share a little bit about my story, about why I started my team, just so you can get that background. I'll talk about what a team is, and I'm going to get into Keller Williams has specific levels of how to grow a team and those models that our team has followed. Some teams follow it, some teams don't. I live by it, so I'm going to share that. Talk about what value our team a team can offer you. We'll talk about 4 questions to ask yourself to decide which path is right for you. And then if you want to start a team, how you do it. And if you want to join a team, how you do it. Sound good? One of my teammates will probably be bringing up some like printout slides. So that's coming. And you can also have full access to all of this. So I want to talk a little bit about me. So not many people have seen these 2 muffins, but we have 2 little foster babies that are in our world that I can't share on social, so not many people have seen them. But 2020, my husband and I realized that for some reason I was done here, but I wasn't done here kind of thing. And so we decided to become foster parents. We got approved on a Tuesday and had to call for 2 little babies on a Friday, and they came to us on a Saturday. They've been with us for a little over a year now. Their mom's pregnant again, so we have another newborn probably coming in the next 2 weeks. So that's why I'm doing this class now. I'll see you in 6 months. Come on in, sit wherever, and there's a sign-in sheet. We just got started. I had my real estate team started. I got licensed in 2010. I was coming off of a great athletic career. I thought that I wanted to get into sports or sales. I started working at a gym, and I was like, all my other friends that graduated from the University of Richmond getting this private education, working at like Google and like Apple. And I was like, well, I want to live in Rochester, and I want to live in Canandaigua. And then I joined the Rochester Athletic Club. I started working as a sales associate there, and then quickly realized I don't like people telling me what to do. And so I've been told those my entire life, and I was finally done with it. So that's when I got into real estate at 22, having no idea what I was doing. The first year in, I literally worked 100 hours a week because I was 22 and had nothing else to do and was used to being a Division I athlete where you literally train, you exercise, you meet with your team, you do PT, you do film, like you just never stop. And so I was like, well, what difference is this? So I just continued to work. And at that time, my husband was at chiropractic college an hour away. So I saw him once a week. So he really didn't create any distractions for me, which was dangerous. And so, I got to the point where the business, the first year, it was a lot of ego. It was a lot of like, no one thinks a 22-year-old girl can do this, but she can. And it had to do with the fact that I was young, but it also had to do with the fact that I was a female, because you had Holly and then you had no one else. No other women were kind of in this platform that were kind of at that point 12 years ago. And so I was like, I can do this. And the ego kind of kicked in. And then about 3 years in, I got flat and it was this whole thing, and I looked around and hated my life.
Everyone's like, you have great friends, you have a great husband, you have this great business. And I realized like, I don't like who I've had to become in order to have this business because I shut my family out. I shut my family out, but I wasn't there for them. I wasn't a good friend. I wasn't good for anyone. And that drove my passion to create my real estate team because I realized this isn't a way to live. And I was ready to quit real estate. During my breakdown, I almost lost my marriage, almost got out of real estate because I was like, I'm done with this. It was too stressful. It was too overwhelming. Guys, I literally threw my phone out of the car once. And like, have anyone been in the business long enough to know that feeling? Like, I was like, if one more person calls me about this septic inspection, I'm done. Like, done. And then my phone, my husband's like, we have some serious problems. Guys, I wasn't well. But the point being, if you can relate to that, or maybe you can't relate to it now, but you will get to that point, I realized it wasn't working. The way I was doing it wasn't working. And I found my faith at that point, and I know that God so clearly showed me this image of Leslie, who's my lead buyer's agent on the team right now. God showed me the image of her having Christmas with her babies, which like I can't even talk about because it gets so emotional. That's why I do it. Because for me, it was all about me and I needed to be on stage and it needed to be all about me. And I was ready to leave the business. And then all of a sudden, you can change other people's lives, Mandy, if you just get yourself together. And so that's why I started that team. Our team doesn't look like this much anymore. Obviously, we haven't had a team one for a bit. But we have 5 agents and 5 operations team, 1 who is in the Philippines. We have a virtual assistant in the Philippines. This year, we're on track for a little over 60 million with 210, 220 units-ish. And I'm just obsessed with our team. They're just so much fun. Obviously, these are my babies, almost 7, almost 6, 2 and 1. We also own a daycare. The daycare is up in Irondequoit. We have 120 kiddos there. My husband runs his chiropractic office. It's literally right down the street by like Crittenden. He has a chiropractic office where he helps almost 500 patients a week because he's ridiculous and awesome. And so does just amazing work. And then I have a podcast too. Haven't done it in a bit because babies, but the Pursue You podcast is what I have too. And all of these things are when I dig into this, I want you to see like, I don't live a normal life. People are like, well, this is when you build your team and this is when you make your first hire and this is when you do. I don't have a normal life, and you want to follow the models, but you also need to give yourself permission to say, hey, here's this tweak that I might make. And Gary Keller's like, don't stray from the model, but also if I wanted leverage a little bit sooner and I have more leverage so that I can run this business and snuggle that, I want to do that. So that's me. So I want to talk about what is a real estate team. So obviously it's just a group of people working together. So it's Kathy, right? Yes, Kathy, when Kathy talked about like, you're part of a team, like guys, you are already a part of a team. By being associated with the Keller Williams office, this is your team. When I was a solo agent, I had no idea what I was doing. I'm like, let me just go check back with my team. I literally went on a listing appointment and I had no idea how to run, like what to do on a listing appointment. And they're like, great, we'll work with you. I'm like, awesome. So, because all I had learned was a listing presentation. So I went on a listing presentation. They're like, great, so where do I sign? I'm like, my team's prepping paperwork right now and we'll set another appointment. And so I go back to the office and I'm like, what's the paperwork? And they sure were prepping it. And so I want you to think about the team as just 2 more people working together. So I also, when I think about a real estate team, I want you to hear this message loud and clear that each team is unique. I'm sure you guys have heard about other real estate teams, right? Like, oh, that team is cutthroat or this team is that. I mean, there's so many misconceptions about what a team is, but the reality is they're all teams. And it's just a matter of there's no such thing as a good team or a bad team, but there are teams that people are a better fit for and not a good fit for. And so my goal for today is to share the general makeup of teams and then you guys to figure out what type of team is a good match for you, what type of team do you want to build, and how do you find, or maybe I actually kind of want to be a solo agent too. All right, so here's how a team works, okay, guys? Keller Williams defines it as 7 levels, okay? And there's like part 1, part 2, and they have been modified since, has anyone read the book MREA, the red book? Okay, so there's MREA 2 that I do not think has been out, but they have slides for those. So if you see the organizational model in the MREA book, this is like the upgraded version of it, okay? So level 1, just you.
Then you have the second level, you plus an admin. Now, when I was first working in my own business, I was at another company, and the other company, I was like, hey, I need to start a team because I'm drowning. I was actually heading into the World Cup. I was playing for Team Canada, so I was going to be gone for 21 days. And in a business where you're heavy buyers and you're 23, 24, you have no idea. I'm like, I'm just going to be gone. And I was our income because Eddie was still in school. And so I decided I needed to start a team. And they said, look for someone who's older and doesn't do a whole lot of business so that they will find value in your team. And I was like, old crappy agents, let's go find them. So I'm like, who's a bad agent? Like, who needs me? Like, literally, that's like how I thought I was supposed to like do this. And I like start to trying to find these like people that don't do a lot of business. And I'm like, I don't get this. Like, this doesn't make much sense to me, but okay. And I literally, whatever people tell me to do, I just do it. Then Keller Williams comes into my world. And like, you don't want someone that is not like you. You want someone that is just like you. So that if I can't show Sally a home, I can have someone else come in who shows Sally a home and they love her too. So I was like, okay, great. So I like this different model. And then they're like, oh, wait, but you can't hire an admin. You can't hire an agent until you've hired an admin. I'm like, well, what's an admin do? And they're like, well, they do your paperwork. And I was like, oh, you mean those piles in my back seat that literally every time I turn, like, they all just like fly. And they're like, yes, you have to do that. So for me, when I first started, I didn't understand how to grow that business. But thankfully, I actually hired my agent and my admin at the same time because I was going to be gone. And the key is right now, your pain point is going out to show houses when you get to this point. So all you want to do is save yourself from showing houses. But the reality is if you don't have that admin helping you, you're going to have two buyer's agents that are all responsible and doing things that are maybe $15 an hour jobs. Because what are you paying them? At least $25 an hour. Right? If you're paying someone to show a house for you, you're paying them at least $25 an hour if you're not paying them a percentage. And so why would I bring someone into my world that I'm paying $25 an hour to get that hour back in my life when really I need to be paying someone to be doing transaction coordination, handling incoming leads, handling marketing, getting back to your clients about sending documents to the bank. I don't want to be doing that, and you need to have that be your first hire. So that's this like first step. Then the third level is that lead admin. Are you still ready for another agent? You are so ready for another agent. You're like, I will get another agent. Nope, another admin. Because again, it is more cost effective. For me to hire someone $15 an hour, $20 an hour, honestly, right now you probably need to be closer to $20 an hour. But I can hire someone that can be doing all of this back end stuff so that slowly, all throughout the day, I'm doing a time audit and being like, I took this call and someone else could have done it for me. I had, is that Niner Davis? She's an agent at somewhere else, Revolution. And she was my EA, my first executive assistant. That was tough. She literally would sit there and be like, Mandy, why are you taking that phone call? And I'm like, I don't know. She goes, I just sat here for 20 minutes and you took 7 phone calls. I could take all of them. And I was like, no. And she's like, give me your phone. I'm like, no. And then I was like, and she's like, give me your phone. She demanded I do call forwarding. I did call forwarding for a year and my life changed. Because if I can't pick, it's conditional call forwarding. If I don't pick up, it goes to her. And guess what? I couldn't pick up 97% of my day when I was out running around like a psychopath, or I didn't want to take the call when I didn't have any of that information. I wasn't in front of my computer. And so it started where I was able to realize my day was consumed with all of these things that if I had just forwarded her that stuff, I started to be able to focus on what was actually important to me and what actually generated the most revenue. So lead admin, transaction coordinator. The key here is one of the challenges I had was I was like this. I had 2 people that went to me. I didn't have that first hire be the leader from an administrative position, and that's key. 4th level, this is when you're finally allowed to hire a showing assistant. Now, this used to be a buyer's agent, right? Does anyone know the showing agent model? Obviously, Jackie, you do, but do you want me to explain that quick? So what a showing agent is so how it used to work is if I was overwhelmed with clients, I would say, hey, Leslie, who's my lead buyer's agent, I'd say, Leslie, here's buyer Betty, okay? Take her. She literally would say, hi, I'm your buyer's agent. I'm happy to help you. She would do a buyer's consult. She would set her up on a search. She would show her properties. When they found a property, they would negotiate, get them under contract, and then they would hand them over to the transaction coordinator, okay? When you're a showing agent, you only do that middle section. So now I hand the buyer off to let me pretend I have a showing agent. So let's pretend Leslie's my showing agent. You guys with me? Is that confusing? Okay. Leslie's my showing agent instead. I have buyer Betty. I'm like, so nice to meet you. I'm excited to bring you into our world. I'm going to introduce you to Leslie, my showing agent. Together, we are going to get you under contract and make this process as seamless as possible for you. I do a buyer's consult with Betty. Then I connect her in a group text with Leslie. Then Leslie is setting up the search based on the criteria. Leslie is going to show her houses. And then once Leslie finds the house, I'm setting back up. I'm negotiating, I'm getting them under contract, and then I hand them back off to my transaction coordinator. So what that means is I am not doing 47 showings per buyer. That showing agent is. What that means is I'm slowly getting some serious time back. Now, from a showing agent perspective, and so I'll share with you what we do. Our buyers are 50-50. Okay, so if an agent brings a buyer, I don't care if it's their buyer, team's buyer, that's too annoying for me. We just do 50-50. 37.5, so the showing agent makes 12.5%. Some teams, I think it's 10. I don't know if anybody's 15. 12.5% is like a good place. And then that means Leslie gets 37.5%. But guess what Leslie did? Consult negotiations. Was she communicating the whole time? What'd you say?
Never left her house.
Literally didn't have to leave her house. Now, let's say showing agent has a vacation. Let's say showing agent has 3 other people she has to show a house to. She will step in. When we started getting the second showing agent is really when her life changed. But so for her, she went from only being able to do 10 million in volume to 20 million in volume. So she's only getting 37.5%, but she's doing 20 million in volume. Now that showing agent who's doing that, the showing assistant, she's coming in to be able to do that. Now, some people do it hourly. Some people do it per showing. The reason why we find this so valuable is because you could easily pay out $25 a showing. But when you have a formal agreement with an agent on a team, it becomes more like Leslie's not the middleman. Hey, I like 123 Main Street. Is it available? I'm sorry, I'm getting myself confused with Leslie being a buyer's agent. As an agent, I don't want to be a middleman to my showing agent. I want there to be that communication. So if the buyer's like, hey, is 123 Main Street available? The buyer's I'm not answering that. The showing agent's answering that. The showing agent is doing that communication, is adding value in that way, earning that 12.5%, not just from showing houses, but from being that communication and to be part of that team. Does that make sense? So that's how a showing agent model works. And then at this point too, OSA or ISA, so someone handling the leads. So I'm out there lead generating, I'm doing everything I can. I want someone that's also following up the leads, converting those leads, because we need to be growing our business. So 4th level part 2 is where that showing assistant becomes a lead buyer's agent. The goal of a showing agent in my world is to be someone that understands how to become a buyer's agent. For a while, I wanted a showing agent to fit into a peg of showing agent. You like being a showing agent, you will forever be a showing agent. But I had 2 people who, after about 1.5 years of doing that, were burnt. All you're doing is going out and showing. It's a lot. However, when you've done that for 1 year, guess what you turn into? A freaking stud. A total stud. You have seen more inventory in 1 year than most agents have seen in 5 years. Go ahead.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So I know this is like the new model, but do you think they switched it because of like the market when it became a hot seller's market? Like, or do you think even in like a buyer's market, a showing system would still be valuable?
Great question. I think it's still valuable. It's still valuable. I think that people just didn't recognize this. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it too, is a lot of agents don't have the mindset of accepting a 12.5% commission. People are like, I could never do that. Well, my showing agent made $80,000 last year. Like, do you care about the percentage or do you care about what you make?
And I think that there's been such a push and agents care so much about percentages that people haven't been open to it and they haven't actually seen the value of it. I have Jess, who's a showing agent for us, who's showing agent and agent. And she was a year in and she was a year in. Here's handouts of our slides if you guys want it. She was a year in and had her first listing and had her first listing and was like, man, guys, I just had like 3 offers that came in and these buyers they wrote offers that just weren't great. I'm like, there was this problem and this problem. And I was like, look at how freaking smart you are. You've been in the business for a year and she's already negotiating contracts and reviewing these contracts with, like someone who's been in the business for much longer. So when we look at the showing assistant model, as you guys are thinking about it, I need you to hear me. One, you can still make great money with it. Do not, let's like talk about the bigger picture, but 2, the experience you can get from doing showing agent. I want a showing agent whose goal is to become an agent. I want a showing agent who's like, I see the value in this. I mean, when I speak with people who've been through the showing agent model, like, I can't believe I got paid to do that because of the experience people have. Normally the first year I made $13,500 my first year, working 100 hours a week. Like, I can't believe you actually get paid to be doing this kind of intense training. So, that's that showing agent model.
In this position, do you only want new people? You wouldn't want somebody
Doesn't matter.
my age that just enjoys doing that?
Does not matter at all.
Okay, so you do,
It does not matter. It's just if it's the right fit for you.
okay.
And now you have to have a buyer's team that has enough volume to support that, right? Like we do 24 million. And so for us, we have a couple different showing agents and that can fit into that. But if you have someone who maybe is doing 6 million, you're not going to have enough of that 12.5% to have it be worthwhile.
Yeah.
But gosh, I would take 10 grand. I would take 5 grand. I would take anything, So you can think about it that way too. So the showing agent becomes this lead buyer's agent, right? They've graduated. And at that point, then they're working to grow their business to maybe have their own showing assistant, okay? And this is where Leslie she has her 2 showing assistants, but I think we're 5th level. Then your lead admin, you've gotten to the point where your OSA becomes a leads manager. So the way I like to think about it is you have 3 sections. This is your sales side, this is your operations side, and this is your lead gen side, okay? This is how a team's made up.
Do you feel there's a certain price point or volume wise, not price point, but volume wise, that you think, I know because I struggle with, I am an interpreter at the hospital. And so like a showing assistant for me I was like, okay, great, let's start one up. And then she backed out because she felt like in the middle of COVID, showing 75 houses and them buying their friend's house after the 75th house and not getting paid. She just kind of felt like, this is ridiculous for 10%. I now make 7 cents an hour because.
And that's why we need to have them be an agent. We want the end goal to be an agent. It's not like it's a carrot. It really is this thing to say, I'm going to teach you how to become an agent, because the reality is, I bet, if you haven't yet, wait until you show 75 houses and you don't make a penny. That's just that's just the name of the game. We have people who we work with for years and then they end up buying the friends up the street's house that they posted on Facebook. And you're like, so one, it's the name of the game. So 2, you need to prepare them for that, because there's also going to be, what is so great about the way that Leslie's done this system is that she'll then have it where there's a $500,000 buyer who comes and they show them one house and she's still giving it to them. So and again, they have this mindset of they're going to be an agent. If they're not successful as a showing agent, they're not going to be successful as an agent. And if they're not going to be successful as an agent, what are you doing with them? And so you have to, make sure, like, do your numbers actually make sense? I've had many times where Leslie's made more money than I have. And I don't care, because I'm building her up and I'm building that team for her. And that if there ever comes at where it's like, should I? Yes. If I believe in that agent, I want to be erring on the side of getting them some sort of a commission. But at the same point, sometimes you just don't get paid on a deal.
I think it's more of showing, for me, I think you hit on showing them the carrots. It's not only like showing them the house, it's what they're doing It's not just showing houses, so that.
And also, when you are on group texts with them, they're gonna say, well, I don't know if I like this house, or I don't know what I like about this house. You are going to be communicating with them and using scripting and dialogue that just being in that communication text chain, ridiculously valuable. So it's not just showing houses, it's also how you're communicating with your clientele. We have it where, and I don't know, maybe Jackie's gotten it from Leslie yet, but sometimes when we're in a group chain, Leslie's like, hey, I need another emoji there. Hey, I need an exclamation point. I need a smiley face. Like these little things that you don't know that we are not afraid to say, here's what we need. Can you sense that they're starting to pull back? Let's bring their family into it. Let's revisit motivation, like those kind of things that are invaluable. Okay, so 5th level, you have your lead buyer's agent, director. We're still, you're seeing these 3, but essentially you get to the point where you have a director of operations. 5th level, part 2. This is where you bring on a listing agent, okay? So I got to the point where I was done with, I could not handle buyers. So I brought in 1 buyer's agent, I brought in a 2nd buyer's agent, and then I was still representing all sellers, okay? I got to the point where I walked up those front steps and I saw, it was Lisa Lawson coming out, and she saw this look of panic on my face, and I was like, oh. She's like, what? I'm like, I forgot to respond to a counteroffer. And here's the deal. I was about an hour behind. Like my seller had no clue. No one had any clue. But it was the first time that I realized I was too busy running my business and figuring out payroll and figuring out benefits and figuring out who I was going to hire next, that I did not give my sellers the attention that they deserved. And I was like, if my sellers are not top of mind, I am not giving them the best service. Because guys, if you want to grow a team, your ego is going to be the biggest thing that gets in your way. No one can do it better than I can. No one can show that house better than I can. No one, and here's the reality. They probably can't right now, but have them fail for a couple years and then they will. So I was not letting go of listings. So Abby, my sister, was one of my one of my buyer's agents. We didn't have the showing agent model at that time. She was one of my buyer's agents, and she's hysterical because she'd be like, I showed buyers like 4 houses, and like, this is what they said they wanted, and like, they didn't want them. And I was like, well, then you have to show them more houses. And she's like, but like, I showed them. She's such a high D that I knew that this was her role. I knew that she would make a great listing agent because she loves numbers. She loves this, how it is. She can have those hard conversations. That I have Leslie as my buyer's agent, who's like, I understand. This is exactly what you said you wanted, but like, it doesn't feel right. So let's go look for 20 more houses. Leslie's incredible and super patient. And the showing agents are super patient too, that you start to realize, ooh, this is what fits and this is what's really well. Now, I want to do a quick disclaimer. When I first built the business, I pigeonholed, AKA specialized in my team. Abby was a listing specialist. Leslie was a buyer specialist because they desired that. Abby was super good at listings. Leslie was super good at buyers. If a lead came in they didn't want, they just flopped back and forth and it was good. However, as more agents have come onto the team, they don't want to be specialized. Maybe they want to do a lot of buyers, but then they have their friend who wants to sell. And at first I used to limit them and say, no, Abby runs all the sellers or Leslie runs all the buyers or vice versa. And now I've gotten to the point where I don't really care. Leslie loves doing buyers, Abby loves doing sellers, so they will continue to be those specialists. But like for Jackie, as she kind of gets into it, if she wants to take a seller, you have to go through the training and I have to make sure you qualify to be able to take that your own sphere, but she can do those. So as I'm saying buyer's agent and listing agent, keep in mind that you can have that flexibility if that's what you desire. Okay. So again, you're seeing we have our lead capture, we have our operations side, and then we have our agent side. Now, one of the things I do want to point out back here was the listing manager. So I am still taking listings here, and I hired a listing manager. This is someone who maybe comes on my appointments with me, takes all my notes, follows up with my clients, not licensed, but I could have someone that does that if I want to continue to do listings at a high level. So you have that listing manager still in there. And then the 6th level, which is where you have a director of sales. So you are no longer responsible for the buyer agent and the listing agent. Remember how you had 2 more arcs that came out? These lines are all the people that are you're responsible for. Mine used to look like a spider, but we're getting better. So you take it so that, oops, hang on.
You take it so that you have one, and that director of sales is overseeing that, director of operation, and this person becomes a director of lead gen. The 6th level is when they've also added these expansion teams. So essentially, I've got my hub going here. Can I drop an agent in Buffalo and I have all my hub? I know how to do lead gen levers. I know how to do transaction coordination. I know how to do that, but that agent operates out of Buffalo. There are some teams in this office that are desiring to do that. I'm not necessarily one of them, but that's just because where my life is, and we haven't had that passion, but you can set it up this way. And then 6th level part 2 is when you have a director of expansion. Everything else at the hub looks the same. Maybe you have an outbound sales agent. And then 7th level is you hire a CEO to oversee your whole team, and you have that direction. What do you think? Does that give you an example of how to build a team?
Simple.
It's hard being around these people at the same time. That's why I'm here.
I love that. Because when you think about what you are doing right now, you are doing all of those things. And it's so true. Because if you're not paying somebody else to do it, you're doing it. People are like, if you're not paying the housekeeper, you're the housekeeper. Like, and it's all about setting your time aside. I have a girlfriend who was like, Mandy, I just like, you do so much. Like, how do you do it? And I'm like, well, I don't do a lot of things. And I'm like, for that season, I hadn't touched laundry in like 6 months. I hadn't done a dish in like 6 months. Like, I was heavy into all my stuff, and I hired a lot of help at the house. She goes, but I kind of like doing laundry. Like, I like that. And I was like, well, you can either run your business or like to do laundry. And it's like, don't get me wrong, there is a lot of peace that comes from folding and like putting things away, but like I can't afford to do laundry right now because I have so many other things that my time is so much more valuable to do. And so you really start to question and do an audit of your time of all the things that are taking your time up. So now I want to kind of shift into what does a team offer? Why do you start a team and what does it offer to the agents? And then why do you join a team and what does it offer to you? So an agent joins a team because that team offers them value. It's that simple. What value will my team have? Sometimes you're like, I just want to join a team because my business isn't successful now, and maybe if I join a team, it'll be successful. Well, there's different teams. They're made up of different ways. So I brought people into the team that we thought were a great fit, and what they valued wasn't what we valued. And it was just this like total miss. What they wanted and what we were offering, it didn't match. And so this is why we really start to do all of this pre-work. Okay, so I always start with this one is leads. Sometimes people think I'm going to join team because I want to get leads and I don't have leads. Here's the thing. It's not like there are some agents maybe that say I'm going to pump them out, but if you are joining a team for leads, you probably have a lot more work to do because you need to make sure that you know how to do all the other things. You know how to time block, you know about inventory, you know some of these things that sometimes if you're just like, well, I'm just going to get leads, that it's not the answer. But when you are, you could say, hey team, how many leads will I get? What will the source be? There is a team that gets a lot of flack and all he does is Zillow. Spends like, I don't know, 20 grand a month on Zillow. And all of his agents just get Zillow leads, Zillow leads, Zillow leads. And hey, it works. They love it. For my agents, we do have some Zillow leads and they know like, they're not that fun. Like you would much rather get a source of like Mandy's sphere of influence that we know who they are, you're going out to get them. But and the leads may be a Zillow lead, maybe a Realtor.com lead, maybe these internet leads that you're going to spend 90% of your day chasing. But hey, is it better than nothing? That's not for me to decide. So what's the quality? So hey, when you brought another agent on, how did they do with their leads? How many leads did they get? What was their conversion rate? What was their conversion rate to closings? Do I get open house opportunities? Do I get networking connections? The big thing with leads that I want to talk about is baby bird syndrome versus teaching to fish. And I want you to be in a spot within my team, but also I could probably speak on behalf of like most teams. We don't want baby bird syndrome. I don't want people to be like, I'm really low on leads. Could you please give me some? I'm low on leads. Could you please give me some? Now here early on, maybe we need to, give you a couple, but I don't give team leads until I see that my agents can develop their own leads because I can't have that pressure of I go to bed, did I give everyone enough leads? Did I give everyone enough leads?
Like, I don't want that pressure. I want to say, I want to teach you how to fish. I want to teach you how to find your own leads so that, can I supplement? And can we add 50%, maybe 30% leads, and it takes your volume up to that next level? Heck yeah. But if you don't know how to lead generate on your own, you're going to be dependent on that team. And sometimes the team can't support you in that way. Questions on that? 2, brand power. This is one of the things that I never recognized the power of this is, so let's say Jackie's a new agent on my team and she writes an offer. She's writing an offer and the other agent knows that it's the friend team on the other side. And they're like, listen, I don't know Jackie from a hole in the wall, but I know it's the friend team and I know they're going to get it done. We've literally had offers accepted because of the brand power that comes from the friend team. And I was like, that's so cool. Now, who knows what as the market switches, but that's a reality. In the same way with marketing, when you are able to market that you are a part of a bigger team. Now, again, guys, you can market you're a part of Keller Williams. You already have this team. So definitely use that. But as we are thinking about more specific teams, lead generation, open house to your sphere, you can be able to use the fact that you are joining a team that has proven results to convert clients, to win offers. You can also share about team successes and team's expertise. You know, we constantly are posting about, hey, we had this many clients through, we got this many referrals. Anything that we share as a success of an individual on our team becomes success of everybody. And that kind of stuff's really, really great from brand power and strong reputation. Marketing support. So this is something, so at the previous company I was with, what I loved about it was I literally was like, I need this marketing done, click. And they would get the marketing and they would send it out and it was great. But also I realized that they were taking like 50 grand every year that I probably could do the click on my own, you know, but there was this ease that came with it that I did kind of miss. And so for me, one of the things that I like to do to add value to our team is this marketing support to say, hey, so if you're interviewing a team, hey, what type of marketing support do you offer? Well, we already have email campaigns that are constantly running. So you would drop your sphere into our email campaigns. Our social platforms. So we already have, you know, social and you just share and you are a part of our team. We can highlight you on that. We have it where homeversary. So once you have a closing, a year later, you automatically, we have the systems, the back end systems where they're getting a handwritten card on their homeversaries. Every 5 years, they get flowers from Stella's delivered to them saying, happy homeversary. Just ways to stay in touch with your past clients that I couldn't do on my own. I did not do that. And when you have this marketing support from a team, they may be able to do that. If there's, you know, a birthday, we're sending out birthday invites. If there's a new baby, we're sending them a baby onesie. All these things I never did. Client appreciation parties. So we have, this week is the zoo party. Next week, we have a big client appreciation party at the zoo where we're inviting all of our past clients for a private thing at the zoo. Well, my agents don't pay for a cent of that, but they get to be able to invite their past clients and their support. And so many teams do that. So make sure you're seeing like, hey, what do you do that I can get value from? Brainstorm, design, and produce collateral. So much more than, you know, I could have an agent walk in, Jackie walks in, let's say she gets her own lead. She walks in and there's a folder already for her. That is her designed listing and buyer packet that has all of the marketing materials. She goes out and teaches and does her presentation based on the scripting that she learned to be able to convert the client. Then she goes, takes them out, represents that buyer, contract to close. I'm getting ahead of myself. But when you think about buyer, seller packets, business cards, photography, mailers, all of that stuff from a marketing standpoint, a team can support. And then again, more brand awareness on third-party sites, websites, and all of that. So your marketing. Administrative support, this is where I was just getting into and I got ahead of myself, but you have someone who's overseeing your database. We have someone who's like, hey, Leslie, you brought in this buyer or you brought in this lead 4 days ago and I don't see a next task. And she's like, crap, can you get me set up on a lead follow-up plan? And we have a lead follow-up plan that she can get set up so she's going to get notified. We just have someone that's overseeing a lot of her database. Listing support. This is where they're doing everything from listing input and preparing documents and helping get feedback and any additional seller communication. Transaction coordination. Our agents, it was actually one time, it was funny because we had an agent that came to us as a new agent and I never really taught her contract to close because she never once had to talk to an attorney. Like, I guess she talked to an attorney here and there, but never really knew what all that stuff was because it was just off her plate. And that's a good thing because I've got enough of that I want her to focus on. I want her to focus on lead gen and serving clients, and that's all. And we take care of all that back end support. And then training. So this was a huge thing if you are a new agent, but I also think there's something to be said about an existing agent, because I found that I brought an existing agent on, and frankly, it was just as hard to break the bad habits than it was to train somebody up new. Because if they are consistently doing 3 to 4 million on their own, they're living a life that's 3 to 4 million, where maybe they're not being intentional with their time and they think it's fine and they think, oh, well, I'm like, well, you have to double your business in order to make what you were making, but maybe you don't want to make what you're making, you just want to live a better life. Like, we have to think about that, because their habits are so ingrained that sometimes an existing agent can be a challenge. Either way, onboarding, shadowing, mentorship, classes, and role play, all of those things that can be offered from a team. And also the consistent and supportive, environment of, hey, what were you reading? Well, I listened to this podcast. Do you guys want to hear about this podcast? Where the team's kind of in your face and you can't get away from us. Coaching and accountability. So this is where we pay for group coaching if anybody wants. We have different programs that people can go on to. We do have one-on-one coaching either with myself or sometimes Jackie just did with my coach. There's different coaching that people can have. Weekly support, we have our team meetings. Most teams do have some sort of a team meeting. Maybe if it's not every week, it's every other week. And then it's something of, I shared my story about why I started a team, and it's because real estate can suck you in, and there's nothing you can, and then all of a sudden you look around in your family and you haven't seen your friends and you didn't even know your girlfriend had a baby. Like, that's the life you live. And when we have coaching and accountability, it's also about your personal style and in your personal life. And to make sure, did you have date night with your husband last week? You said you're gonna have date night with your husband because you've blown him off for 4 listing appointments and you better do that. We want your life to matter. And it doesn't matter if you get to the end of the year and you sell 20 million, if your husband hates you and you have nothing, like, what's the point of that? And sometimes I wish that I had a team that didn't get me as far as I got. And that's what our team wants to be for anyone that comes into our world. And I know that so many other teams do too. Culture. We talked a little bit about this, is, not only is there team meetings and trainings, but sometimes teams have like their outings. We just did like a boat day, and some people just want to like get out. We've done we haven't done escape room, but just like fun things that you can do where you're going out. This coming weekend, we're doing Shootout for Soldiers in Canandaigua. So we've sponsored the field, and we're going to be heading out there to just be involved and active in the community, share and celebrate wins, share and support through challenges, and then brainstorming, and also just being a part of something bigger we really like too. What questions do you guys have on that section? Value of team ads. Anything? I know I'm throwing a lot at you guys. We got an hour, so I'm just investing through it. Okay. So how do I pick which path is best for me? So I'm a big journaler. When I'm in my head, I need to get it out. If you don't want to journal, that's fine. I have people who are like, well, I can't write anything out because what if someone sees it? Ready for my life hack? Open a Google Doc and title it like Tax Accounts 2022. And then no one will find it. Thinking time, journaling time. Here's what I want you to think about, okay? What do you like to do? What do you enjoy doing? And now here's the 2 different things that I want you to think about in the categories. Do you like business? Do you like growing a team, hiring, firing, onboarding, training, vision casting, new systems, profit and loss, marketing, delegating, creating systems and efficiencies? It was actually Drew Hannon. I had a fantastic conversation. I was meeting with him to see if he was interested in the team. And he was working on another team, and he said, no, I just had this like really big aha. And actually, no, I was just meeting him about teams because I knew he had this experience. And he said, well, what I realized is I joined a team because I thought they actually took off my plate what I actually like to do. Big light bulb moment for me. And now what is he doing? Crushing on his own team. And so when you think about, do you like this business side of it? Do you like this marketing? Do you like creating that? Or do you like connecting, meeting with, educating, connecting with, advising, and negotiating? Because if you join a team to be an agent, all that other stuff you don't even have to worry about. And some people are like, oh, I love that. I don't want to worry about that. And other people are like, wait, but I have like this marketing that I want to do, and I actually like delegating, and I actually want to hire. And in the same respect, if you think you want to start a team, you better like this stuff, because that is hard to learn. but it worked. And it's today and in the future. And when we talk about today and in the future, it's what do you want to do now? Maybe you want to connect now, but maybe you see that in your future. Joining a team doesn't mean joining a team and then you have no other chance. I talked to Jackie, I said, give me a couple years, girl. She's like, got it. You know, like, it's not like, no, do I want you to be a friend team for life? Like, heck yeah. But also, the more you're communicating with the people in the teams that you're checking out or a team that you want to grow, think about that. What do you like to do? And really take some time with this and journal about this in your Google Sheet. The second question to ask yourself is, what is missing in your world? And again, going back to my story, when I first got into my breakdown era, I kept blaming it on everyone else but me. I kept saying, well, my clients don't do this, or my broker doesn't do this, or the real estate business doesn't do this, instead of looking at myself and saying, hey, Mandy, where are you kind of falling short right now? And so when you think about what's currently missing in your world, I want you to think, is it you? Is it your mindset? Is it internal stuff? Or is it actual external stuff like administrative support, more leads? This will actually make my life so much better. Or time. Some people will join a team and go from making $60,000 to $50,000 and they're like, but I got my life back. Great. That's wonderful. Personal versus professional relationships. Like what are you missing here? And will joining a team help fill this void? Important questions to ask. What is your financial perspective? I touched on this a little bit. When you think about, I've interviewed so many agents considering our team, and when they think about what money they're going to make, they're like, well, last year I made $100,000. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I see you sold, I'm making a number, 6 million in real estate. That was your gross, right? And they're like, well, yeah, like that's how much came into my bank account. And I'm like, oh, okay, so how much did it cost for you to make your business cards and do your listing signs? And how much did it cost for you when you had 14 people doing showings for you? And you don't actually look at what you're walking away with. Now, I will say on a team, you don't have expenses. Maybe actually, I don't want to say that. There are some teams where you will. I don't know them, but there are teams out there. So you have to get clear on what those expenses are, but you have to really look at your gross commission income minus your company split, minus your business expense. That's what your profit's going to be. And sometimes as newer agents or maybe existing agents that are so focused on the split, you're not seeing, you're actually losing a whole lot more money by being on your own. And you actually look at what that split is. So also splits versus dollar per hour. If you're working 100 hours a week and making that, that's great, but divide that, what's your dollar per hour wage that you're actually making? And if I go from maybe, again, making a little bit less money, but I'm working half the hours, my dollar per hour is so much higher. And again, I'm not telling you what to value. I'm just making sure you're thinking of these things. The value added in your life, your lifestyle, your decreased stress. We have people who join the team and they're like, I can travel, I can leave, I can take a vacation because I have 5 other people. We actually have 2 of our team members right now. Are you like crazy busy because of that? I have 2 of our team members, our buyer's agents that are like, both of our family vacations were planned for the same time. And we're like, not ideal, but also like they're fine. And their clients are fine. Like they're not just being left high and dry. I didn't take a vacation for like ever because I was terrified to leave my clients. And I was also terrified not only to leave my clients, but like, would I get that split? Would they try to take it? And it sounds so bad, but I was afraid of that. And so when you think about lifestyle and what you can do, and also that stress, for us, it's, I don't want to be the team where you have to be checking your phone every 5 minutes because then they're done that, jumped off the wall. When you think about like the way that you don't have to be stressed and where you know what your goals are, one of the things that we do within our team is to be able to really say, okay, if you want to hit this many buyers or this many sellers, economic model, right? I know what I need to do each day. My stress just evaporates when I start to realize, oh, if I do this week, that's successful. And then I can chill out. Instead of when I was on my own, I felt like it was never good enough. I closed 3 deals this week, but like, I don't know if I can go on that date night with my husband because I think I've got a new lead that I got to follow up with. Like, no, you're good. And then the 4th one is, how do you want to live your next 5 years? And that's when I think about a team, is I don't want you to get so overwhelmed thinking about it as a lifestyle. I can tell you there's probably many teams who say, hey, if you can give me 3 years,
I'm gonna train you up the first year and then we'll be great for those next 2 years. Think about 5 years, that's like a nice place to land. But what are your goals? Relationships, vacations, how you're spending your time. What are your goals professionally with your finances and with your wealth? You know, there's different teams. I talked to Tiffany a lot about her team. She's cranking. Like, Tiffany's a freaking stud, and I tell her all the time. But she's like, I'm cranking because she's like, I'm getting older and I got plans, you know, whereas I'm like, I'm not cranking. Like, I'm not working full time. I can't, I just can't. I've got babies to snuggle and I've got household to manage, and it's too much for me in this season of my life. And to be okay, acknowledging that my next 5 years are going to look a lot different than somebody else's 5 years. And that's great. And that's lovely. Like, whatever your next 5 years need to look like, because I can tell you for 10 years I hustled and I worked my tail off, and it's whatever your 5 years are, what your 5 years are, start to get clear on that. So these next two, so basically the last two sections is how to build a team, and then how to join a team, right? And they're super quick and super simple. The first one is, let's say I want to start to build a team. That's kind of on my mind. Well, you better start to be a good leader. You better start to understand the business in this market, the models. Learn from other team leaders. I just had Dawn come on and be like, Mandy, how did you do this? What was your first hire? What was that like? And we're happy to help and happy to brainstorm. I mean, I'm just so obsessed with Keller Williams because there's so many teams that get it. And we talk about transaction coordination and we talk about these things, and I can be like, oh my gosh, I totally screwed up. I gave a lead to this agent and I should have given it to this agent and I screwed up, and people are like, been there. And I'm like, thank you. So connect with other team leaders. Also, get reading. Millionaire Real Estate Agent, Developing the Leader Within You, John Maxwell, Multipliers, Start With Why, anything you can do to learn about leadership and to learn about business. And then, so there are classes here, I think it's called Career Visioning, and it's really embarrassing. Is it Career Visioning? Yes. Career Visioning was the class, so I was over at another company, and this is when I was going to build a team with old crappy agents, remember? And so they said, come to Career Visioning. And I sat at Career Visioning, and Kristen Cole, who is now like level 7, like full on level 7. And she was telling me about how to hire a team, start a team. And I was like, well, I don't know what to pay them. And they're like, oh, well, here's what you pay them. And I was like, well, I don't know what their job is. They're like, well, here's the job description. And I was like, oh, I can do all this. Like, there are classes that literally they teach you from day one how do I know if they're a good fit? Well, here's the DISC analysis, and if they show up high on this and this, they're probably going to be a good fit. Oh, and here's a KPA if you want to go in depth. I'm like, it is all accessible to you. And then take action and learn. Do those things. How to join a team. So we've had these top 2, right? You're answering these questions. What value do I need right now? What value do I want a team to bring? The first step you need to do, though, is you need to talk to your broker. And the coolest thing is this job fair that we have coming up, which I think I have a thing on there, is make sure you're talking to your broker, because the brokers know what every single team needs right now. Or maybe you want to start a partnership. And maybe you're like, I think I want to start a team. And someone's like, I think I want to start a team. Look at the property girls. They're crushing it. There were 2 people who said neither of them wanted to start a team individually, so they wanted to work together. And then together they hired their first admin. And then together they started to get a buyer's agent. And then together, like, you can do whatever you want, but your brokers know everything in terms of what they know. They do know everything.
You have Chuck.
And then you have Chuck. No, I love him. But they know all of the different agents and the different teams. They know their needs, and they're who I want you to go to first. Then decide the teams you'd like to learn more about. You can find all of us teams around here, so you could talk to other people, but also check out my social media. Also check out Reputation versus Reality. Guys, everyone talks so badly about Holly Creek. She's great. Like, I have no qualms with her. Like, she's fine. And have you guys heard bad rap? I've heard bad rap about her. And I'm sure people have said something bad about me. Investigate it for yourself. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, there are these teams that are killing it, crushing it. And then maybe there's teams that are killing it and crushing it. And maybe in reality, they don't treat their teammates well. I'm just saying, investigate it for yourself and try not to let preconceived notions about what other people have been saying. I remember people would be like, oh yeah, she never had, like, her clients never see her. And I'm like, 90% of my clients don't even know my name. Like, and you're saying that's giving them a bad service? I'm telling you, if they knew my name and they hung out with me, they're going to get a worse service. So it's good that they don't want it. So a lot of people have different thoughts about teams, and I'm here to encourage you to do your own work on reputation versus reality. That goes both ways, right? Reach out to learn about who's hiring, ask great questions, be transparent. And this is where I talked about, I had a conversation with Jackie. She's like, I don't know where I'm going to be in 5 years. I'm like, great. Well, do you know where you're going to be in a couple? And she's like, sure do. Be open. We were talking, Kathy, well, listen, I'm saying this is what I want, but I've also got a lot of spunk, and here's what I think where I think I can add value. Be transparent, and then keep an open mind on each team. So again, we have this job fair that's coming up. That I believe almost every team is participating in it on Wednesday. Make sure you guys come through. This will be your opportunity. What I say is it's our team's opportunity. Now, I got to tell you, I don't want to be like totally anticlimactic, but we just brought on 2 new agents. So we're definitely not in a season of bringing on more agents right now. But we have like Brooke, who is here. Like, I've got some people that, hey, when we start to feel like we have some, more opportunities in the team, we're doing that. But get on people's radar. Get on my radar if you're interested. So that when the time comes, it's like, hey, we're ready to rock and roll. Allie Kozik came on with us, and she had been probably on my radar for, honestly, maybe over a year. And then we're like, okay, we're ready to rock and roll. And she's like, I'm in. And we were able to have that. And then I met Jackie in 10 seconds, and I hired her the next 3 minutes. So you have different situations. So this is the job fair. And my final reminder is clarity comes through engagement, not thought. It is so easy to think about all the things you're going to do. I want you to just fail and fail and fail and fail again and realize that's your whole life. Like, stop trying to make everything perfect. My first hire was an absolute blessing, but also I failed a lot. I literally used to not hire men. Like, men would come on the team and I'm like, I don't like boys. Like, and people are like, that's like illegal. And I was like, probably. And then I grew up and was like, I can do this. And like, failures and now I got one, and just one. He says he's his token male. He says no one else is allowed on the team besides him. That's a man. No, but you kind of go through these seasons where you just like think you know it and you think you're in a great spot. And then you go through a season, you're like, I have no freaking clue. And I want to say welcome to the club. And that's what connects so many of the teams, is because we all know like there's no perfect way to do it. And we've had, some successes, and people say, oh, how'd you get there? I'm like, well, because I just did it. I just engaged and I tried it. These aren't things I was thinking about. I just tried them. So clarity comes through engagement, not thought. We're 11:02, but what do you got?
I do have a question.
Yes, I want to go back to what is currently missing in your world. I really like that. And how do you want to live your next 5 years? So, how do you get there? Do you journal? Do you go on a real estate agent retreat? Or what,
Clarity comes through engagement, not thought, is my advice. And I have a podcast episode on it. I think it's one of my earlier ones. But it's this idea. So one of the things that was a cause of my breakdown is, so I went away to World Cup for 21 days, and I get back, and during that time, Leslie and Heidi were helping me, and Kristen Partial was helping me too. And I got back, and all of a sudden, my 100 hours a week, they were all helping. And so I only needed to work like 50. And I was like, what am I supposed to do with my time? And I was like, crap, I have no idea. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I like. I've worked for the past 4 years, and honestly, my entire life at that point, I was an athlete. So everyone always told me what to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what made me happy. And that's a really hard place to be in. So I don't know if I'm putting it on you, but like, if you are there, you have to start to rediscover who you are and what you want. And the only way to do that is through like trying things out. So I was like, maybe I'm missing yoga. And I like did yoga. I'm like, this freaking sucks. I really feel good at the end. I'm like, not worth it. Like, I tried it, not good. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe I need to start reading. And so I would schedule forced time for me to read, and I would go to Panera in the winter. They had like a fireplace and 12 corners. And I would like, maybe I like to read. And so I'd read, and I'm like, okay, I kind of like that. But I'm like, have you ever had to try to put your phone away?
Yes.
And you keep like, I think that was buzzing. I think I need it. Like this withdrawal system, like this feeling of withdrawal. And then 5 minutes later, you're like, I'm better now.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you need to start to like, is it really hard for me, or am I just needing to break some of my nervous system reactions that have come from some anxiety that I lived with? So you just need to start to try some things to figure out who you are. And then you try it out and you're like, nah. Like my husband and I kept thinking we wanted to get pregnant again. And I was like, I don't think we're supposed to. I don't think we're supposed to. And we'll go down that path. And then we're like, wait, I think we're supposed to have foster babies. And we're like, okay, well, maybe we should talk to foster families. And then we're like, well, this is weird. So then we're like talking, we're not going to foster. And then we're like, wait, no, this is it. Wait, let's dig it down. And then we took one more step. And we're like, wait, we think this is it. And then we took the training. And we're like, yeah, we think this is it. The entire time, not knowing if this was our path, but we just tried it out. And so it's really experimenting and then continuing that journaling process.
Go ahead. I'm a new agent, but I never really thought about it. Can I start my own team, or is like a partnership a better idea?
My advice is to do it on your own for 1 year. Do all of Ignite, do it, and you're going to learn about it. I had someone who was an admin for me, and she was watching my agents come in on Monday morning in like sweats. And then they would leave and like they would work out on a Thursday, and she's like, I want to be an agent. Like they're so flexible. And I'm like, the reason they're coming in on sweats is because they're out working all weekend while you were at home. And when you're at home all night, they're out working. And she's like, well, I want to do that. I'm like, sounds good. So I put her on this path to become an agent. 2 months into being an agent, she's like, it's too much. I can't do this. And I'm like, I told you. As much as everyone's going to tell you this is the reality of an agent life, you're not going to know until you're in it.
I know. I've been an agent since December, but I have a 3 and 5-year-old. My husband's a pilot. He travels all the time. So I can't always do everything. And that's why I'm like, maybe a team or a partnership or something. Maybe in my future.
Completely. And what's cool is for me, sometimes like you can just find a couple different agents where maybe you're not a team, but you're leaning on Karen, who's leaning on Brenda, and all 3 of you, hey, this is our team, and we all got each other's backs. And you all work the same way, you all connect the same way, and they know if they're on vacation, you've got their back, and you can, that sometimes people do it where they'll do like a tally system. So like, I'm not paying you $25 and you're not going to pay me $25. At the end of the month, I showed 4 houses for you, you showed 5 houses for me, I'm going to give you $25. So you can create that. And the more you're attending Ignite, the more you're doing it yourself, you'll start to find those people. Of course. What else?
I think.
Oh.
But I was going to ask you, so is your team at the 7th level?
No, because I don't want to do expansion. Maybe we will. But what's interesting, I probably should have done my org chart. So last year, I had a CEO for 3 years. And the CEO she started as a director of ops and then moved up, and now she's a MAPS coach. And that CEO was what I needed when the foster babies came into my world. And what I tell you, last year I worked 5 hours a week. I'm not exaggerating. I didn't work. And so, and it's funny, my husband goes, you definitely work more than 5 hours a week because all you're doing is thinking about business all the time. But like in the office, like I couldn't have that brain power. So what does this look like? Okay, so here's me. Here's my agents. And like, honestly, all the agents kind of report to me, but Leslie and Abby are like the 2, like Abby and Leslie are like the 2 like lead agents. Then we have Justin, who's like his own agent, but he's kind of reporting to me. So I've got a lot of spiders right now, but because everyone's so good, they kind of figure it out and I don't have a lot of responsibility there. I have Jen, who's like my lead coordinator. And then we have Brittany, who is our director of client relations. Heidi's my transaction coordinator. And then we have my virtual assistant who does all that master stuff. So for a while, me was up here and I had a director of operations. But when she left, I actually found it was like a good opportunity for me to step back in because we had some cultural challenges that I had to work through.
Do you decide how much you make and how much they make, a percentage or a salary?
Yep, so all of the operations team's on a salary, and then any of the agents are on a commission.
And then you get a percentage of that.
Correct.
So people are like, my split's terrible, I only make this, and someone said, well, do you know who has the lowest split in the entire company? Gary Keller. Gary Keller has the lowest split, so everyone's all worried about splits, yeah, but he has the tiniest split of the entire company. And so in my same way, my split's super, right, like the actual that I take after paying all of them, after doing all these parties, after doing all this marketing, after having all the technologies, my split's pretty low. That's okay. And also, I bring on more leverage because I can't not, and I'm not afraid to not make money. Like, I'm okay. My husband and I lived off of, we are so crazy. He was doing chiropractic college, was making money on, or paying off all of his loans. I'm sorry, adding more debt by his student loans. And I was like, bro, quit it. I will like pay for dinner. Like, I've got the pizza, you know? And we started living off of my income. And then when he started making money, I said, I don't need your income, pay off your loans. He paid off all of his loans in like 4 years. We got all of it, 150 grand we paid off immediately. And then once that was paid off, we didn't know what to do with ourselves. So then we just kept living, no matter how much my income increased, we kept living like we were making 50, 60 grand. And it's like, now I just hit a stone with my minivan out there, and like, I don't care, it's fine. We just live, we don't need a lot of things, you know? And so that's why for us, I also see this long term. Like, I want my team to last for a very long time. And if it means right now, in order to keep it, we need to bring more people on and I make less of a split, AKA less of what's left over. What else?
I wish you'd teach more often, Mandy.
Oh, yeah? Well, your competition is my babies. So it's, no, I'm happy. I'm happy to be able to do this. I have my contact info somewhere in here. So Mandy at Friend on Your Side is my email. Honestly, I shouldn't even put that there. I'm not great with it. You can find me on social media. I'm not really great. It's a black hole because I mark it as unread and then I've got 5,000 unread and it's like, just text me if you need me. But truthfully, the job fair will be a really great way. I will be here to talk more. And obviously the job fair is not where we can talk more in depth, but there are some incredible teams that I do know are looking for talent right now too. Like immediately, but I also am so team, do it for yourself for a year. Because I did have an agent who came onto my team before struggling. She was like, well, I can do this on my own. And she just didn't know how hard it was. So then she went to do it on her own and was floundering because she didn't actually learn how much to appreciate what she was given. And so that's where I think there's a value in you getting your feet wet a little bit and you kind of get in the dumps to say, this is freaking hard. Wait, you're not going to do that marketing for me? Because last year I spent 15 hours a week trying to do marketing and now I don't have to do that? Wait, you're doing transaction coordination? Wait, you're handing me these leads? Oh my gosh, there's so much that if you're not doing it on your own first, you may not appreciate when you actually do get those things too.
Yeah. Is there a minimum before you can do a team with public writers? Or is that?
Yes, because fun fact, if you have a buyer's agent on your team, your buyer agent will get half cap, which means instead, I don't know actually what it means. It just means their cap's less. And
Well, it's
so
not any longer.
it's not?
No, because you're still, our cap is 10K plus so it's 13 and so is the buyer's agent. That didn't change. They didn't drop the buyer's agent from my understanding. I could be wrong.
But from a team agent, they're less than mine is.
Not anymore.
Okay, so I know nothing, but I do believe that there is there's something, check with Jess or Kim, but there is something that changes when you have a team and you bring someone into your world. So I believe that there has to be a minimum standard hit in order to qualify to have someone have that reduced cap. Again, if there's not a reduced cap, I'm wrong, but I do believe that there is that minimum standard. And that's why I said I brought in leverage at 6 million because I couldn't function and because I had those needs. So sometimes people are like, well, I can do 50 transactions solo and I don't even need an assistant. Great. Or people are like, hey, I already need an assistant, like kind of living our life of young children. Like, hey, I need that. But I also am so team get help at home. That is when I started getting people to help with cleaning my house and, all of those things that I realized, like, oh, when I'm not spending time with my babies, it's because I'm stressed about the laundry, that if I just had someone help me with the laundry, that's, again, $15 to $20 an hour job that I would happily pay for them to go and I walk home and my house is clean. So it's not just leveraging your business when you think about your team, it's leverage, and we homeschool too, so my kids are always home. Always.
I think a takeaway is getting very clear on what you want now, 5 years in
Yes.
and future. And I think even walking into the fair, being clear on what you want is going to help the team decide if that's a good fit for you. You walking in and going, I really don't know, they're gonna go, well, if you don't know what you want by yourself, joining the team, it might be a little more of this, okay, we got a little more
So
work to
good.
do. So get clear on yourself and what you want, and then walk in and be able to say, this is what I want. I want to be able to have a buyer's agent. I want to grow into my own thing, or I want to do this by myself. Working alone for a year, like you said, and learning every aspect of the business gives you an appreciation when you give it up to say, thank God I don't have to look at it, call an attorney anymore, because now, for me, my wife does it. It's like that.
Exactly.
Oh, phew, I can just show houses. I'm good at that.
Yes.
But it's clear on like I tried to join a team a while back early on in my career. I was like, hey, I want to join your team. And they went, no. And I went, oh, we're friends. Like, I love you. And they knew, because they could see it, like, you're a worker. You're going to do better by yourself than you are on our team. We will hold you back. And I couldn't see it, but they could. So it's getting clear with yourself is going to help wherever you go, answer those questions. Walk into Mandy and say, hey, I want to be able to do 30 million. And she's going to go, well, my business only does 20 million, so we're probably not a good fit.
Exactly.
Okay, great. Let me jump to another team.
These are my financial goals. This is my time goals. And here's the thing. This is my team and what our team offers. This is you. Not good, not bad, not bad, not good. Like, there's nothing wrong. It's just if it's not a good fit, that's okay.
Yeah.
This is a very honest question.
Yes.
Now, probably because my work life experience, not just with real estate and whatever. Do teams only want people that have, 30 million goals? What
No.
about people? Because I feel that I'm invested in the connections, whether it's supportive or administrative, or I'm out there supporting other people or buyers and that kind of thing. And I don't have goals of 30 million. I don't even have goals of 10 million.
And that's what's
and
so
I
cool.
keep finding that I can't find anybody that's interested in me. But I'm I mean, you want to have the team because I can talk to people about it. I was a teacher, I was a minister. I can encourage your team. I can contact them in difficult situations and get what you need that didn't come in. But I haven't been able to connect in real estate with anybody who, because I can't say I want 30 million, in the next 2 years. And I haven't connected. And not just, I don't mean in Keller Williams, but in real estate in general. I am the star in the support role. I'm the flashy accessory that's not out of the box that doesn't need to be seen. But I'm there.
And that's where the job fair is perfect. But it's also KWGR, the Facebook group. Like, put together who you are and what you offer. And there's some people that said, hey, I'm interviewing teams. I want to be the support person. Here's what I offer. If anyone wants to, I'd love to take someone to coffee and explore more. Thanks so much.
So teams will,
And here's the thing, you don't have to find a team. You could just find an agent. I mean, I had Heidi and Leslie come into my world when I was going to be gone for the World Cup. That was like a very acute thing. I was like, I don't know what direction this is going, but I know I need support this summer.
But see, I need somebody that's going to be written down and whatever, because I've connected with 2 people in the past 5 years, and I didn't even pay for it.
Yep.
And I was supposed to be, that was working. And I'm tired of being kept under the rug. And because when I'm their main support.
Exactly.
And,
And that's where everything in writing and also looking at reputation.
Mhm.
Have you had other people support you? Could I get their names? I want to see how that relationship went.
So I like what you said, is put together who you are and what you offer. So I was just talking to someone else this morning, and he assumed that I was this. So I found myself explaining, no, I have this background. So I felt like, okay, I've got to say, I can do X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
I'm missing A and B.
Yes.
But I'm trying something new to see if it sticks. So
Love that.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna know what you like think you want that. And then the coolest thing is when I'm in a relationship with someone, they said that they wanted this. I offered that and they came to me and they're like, hey, I know that I said I wanted that, but I actually don't. I'm sorry, what do you want to do? And I'm like, we can part ways, like I'm good, are you good? Like I just want you happy. Instead of you're not doing this for me, like they took the ownership to say, I thought I wanted this, but I actually didn't. And it's like, great, sounds good. Because when you're clear about it, you're taking that ownership and you're saying, this is what I want, and then you're communicating, making decisions based off that, compensation based off that. And then if it changes, it changes.
Wonderful. And seeing everything broken down after
I'm so
all of
happy.
these years, no wonder I've been exhausted.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you guys on Wednesday. You're welcome. Nice to meet all of you.